Every step outside was a risk. Meet Jamal.
In the heart of Meridian, Mississippi, a town often overshadowed by stories of crime and silence, emerged a voice that dared to dream louder than the streets around him. Jamal Roberts, a local PE teacher and devoted father of three, grew up surrounded by the ever-present tension of a community grappling with violence, fear, and economic stagnation. In interviews, Jamal described his hometown as a place where simply stepping outside felt like a gamble, where residents often chose silence over confrontation, and where hope was not a guarantee but a rare act of rebellion. Yet, amidst this atmosphere, a spark ignited in him through music, a medium he discovered early, at just 2 years old, when his grandparents noticed his extraordinary vocal talent during church gatherings. That church, a cornerstone of his upbringing, became a sanctuary from the chaos outside. Raised by a family rooted in faith, with one grandfather serving as a bishop and the other as a deacon, Jamal's life was steeped in gospel and soul, cultivating a foundation that would later resonate far beyond Mississippi. The odds were never in his favor, but Jamal's early years were marked by an unshakable determination to find a way out, not just for himself, but as a beacon for others trapped in similar cycles of hardship. The community that raised him may have been fraught with danger, but it also forged a resilience that would become the core of his artistic voice. In a place where dreams are often buried under survival, Jamal Roberts decided his story would be different. Jamal's formative years were shaped as much by adversity as they were by his deep connection to music, which began in earnest within the pews of his local church. His childhood performances, often renditions of classics by Michael Jackson and the Temptations, revealed a precocious talent that blended spiritual conviction with raw emotional expression. The church environment, with its structured mentorship and communal values, served as both training ground and refuge. It wasn't just about singing, it was about telling stories, channeling pain into purpose, and finding identity in a world that often demanded conformity. This upbringing instilled in him a sense of responsibility, one that would manifest years later in his dual roles as a teacher and father. Even as a young boy, Jamal understood the weight of expectations, his own, those of his family, and of a community silently rooting for someone to rise above their circumstances. While others fell into the familiar traps of street life, Jamal found solace in melody and rhythm, practicing not just to perform but to perfect a craft that would one day carry him to national attention. The structure of the church, the unwavering support of his religious family, and his own relentless drive converged to shape a young man who believed deeply in using his gift for more than applause. For Jamal, music was never just about entertainment, it was a lifeline, a calling, and eventually a pathway out of the darkness. As an adult, Jamal Roberts balanced two demanding roles that defined his life before fame: a full-time PE teacher at Crestwood Elementary, and a single father to three daughters, Harmony, Lyric, and Gianna. His life was far from glamorous, structured around school bells, lesson plans, and bedtime stories rather than concert tours or recording studios. In the gymnasium, he taught discipline and teamwork, instilling values in his students that echoed the very lessons he had learned in the church: perseverance, respect, and belief in one's potential. At home, he became the emotional anchor for his daughters, guiding them with a quiet strength, even as details about their mother and his relationship status remained private. Jamal's decision to keep his personal life out of the public eye speaks to a protective instinct rooted in his experiences growing up in a volatile environment. He understood the importance of shielding his children from unnecessary scrutiny, while modeling integrity and purpose. His teaching career was more than a job, it was an extension of his mission to uplift, to guide others away from the dangers he once faced. His students saw in him, not just a coach but a role model, someone who had lived through the consequences of poor choices, and chose instead to carve out a path of inspiration. Jamal's days were filled with mundane challenges: grading papers, wiping tears, driving to school, but underneath the routine beat the heart of a man preparing for something bigger. His classroom may not have had spotlights, but every lesson he taught was a rehearsal for the stage that awaited him. The emotional burden Jamal carried throughout his adult life was as significant as any musical note he would later sing on national television. While he often presents himself as upbeat and composed in public appearances, there lies an undercurrent of pain and persistence forged through years of navigating hardship alone. The crime-ridden backdrop of Meridian was not just a childhood memory, it continued to impact his adult years, with Jamal openly admitting that there were days he dreaded leaving his house. The psychological toll of constant vigilance in a dangerous neighborhood shaped his worldview, reinforcing his need to be a pillar of strength for his family and students. Instead of succumbing to despair, he used that discomfort as motivation to make a difference within his immediate circle, whether through after-school programs, motivational talks, or simply being present in his daughters' lives. Jamal worked to build a legacy that contradicted the violence around him. His determination was not born from privilege, but from the pressing urgency to rewrite a narrative that had claimed too many lives. In choosing education and music over self-destruction, Jamal became a quiet revolutionary, challenging the perception that one's environment must dictate one's destiny. His life became a testament to the power of endurance, a reminder that even when escape seems impossible, transformation is still within reach for those willing to fight for it. Jamal Roberts' decision to audition for American Idol Season 23 marked a pivotal shift in his journey from local mentor to national figure. By the time he stepped onto the stage in week 4 of the live auditions, Jamal was not just singing for himself, he was carrying the hopes of an entire community on his shoulders. His rendition of Mary Jane by Rick James earned him the coveted golden ticket, but more importantly, it introduced the world to a voice shaped by struggle, faith, and resilience. For many, this was the first time they saw beyond the statistics of Meridian, glimpsing instead the humanity and talent it had to offer. Jamal's performance wasn't polished perfection, it was raw, emotionally charged, and profoundly relatable. It was a declaration that talent could flourish even in the harshest conditions, and that narratives could be rewritten through courage and authenticity. The moment symbolized more than personal advancement, it was a cultural reset for how stories like Jamal's are typically perceived. With that one audition, he transformed from anonymous teacher to rising star, and for the first time, people began to see Meridian not as a cautionary tale, but as a birthplace of hope. As Jamal Roberts progressed through American Idol Season 23, his performances evolved into powerful moments of storytelling that connected deeply with audiences and judges alike. Among the standout renditions that cemented his place in the competition were emotionally stirring performances of Her Heart by Anthony Hamilton, the soulful Tennessee Whiskey by Chris Stapleton, and the gritty, heartfelt ballad, Liar by Jelly Roll. Each song selection not only showcased Jamal's vocal strength, but also his unique ability to infuse lyrics with lived experience, making each line feel like a window into his soul. The judges responded with genuine admiration. Lionel Richie praised his emotional depth, Carrie Underwood highlighted the raw honesty of his delivery, and Jelly Roll himself was visibly moved by the tribute performance of his own song. These moments weren't just musical, they were personal breakthroughs broadcast to millions, establishing Jamal not merely as a contestant, but as a compelling figure with a story that mirrored the struggles and hopes of everyday Americans. His ability to transform pain into art, combined with a humble demeanor and magnetic presence, set him apart in a competition known for spectacle. Jamal wasn't just performing songs, he was translating life into melody, delivering each note with the conviction of someone who had lived every word. In doing so, he continued to redefine what success looks like, proving that authenticity could outshine theatrics, and that vulnerability, when wielded with purpose, is a performer's greatest strength. Away from the idol stage, Jamal's growing influence was perhaps most evident through his rising social media presence, where he connected directly with fans who saw in him both a gifted artist and a devoted father. With over 139,000 followers on Instagram, Jamal crafted a digital narrative that mirrored his real-life values, honesty, love, and resilience. His profile, casually captioned "Harmony and Lyrics Dad, personality off the chain," served as a window into his life behind the scenes, filled with singing clips, candid moments with his daughters, and heartfelt appeals for fan support. Unlike many performers who use social media to build a polished brand, Jamal leaned into authenticity, often sharing vulnerable reflections or celebrating the small victories of fatherhood. His follower count wasn't just a metric, it was a testament to how deeply his story resonated. Each post felt like an invitation into his world, turning followers into extended family, and generating a loyal base eager to support him not just as a contestant, but as a man striving to give his daughters a better future. In an age where manufactured personas often dominate online platforms, Jamal's unfiltered sincerity became his greatest asset, proving that connection and character can be just as magnetic as talent. The digital love he received didn't just bolster his campaign on Idol, it laid the groundwork for a lasting public presence, potentially launching a career beyond the show that blends music, mentorship, and advocacy. On April 27, 2025, Jamal Roberts became the emotional centerpiece of an American Idol episode that would spark both adoration and controversy across social media and entertainment forums. During the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame tribute show, after a rousing performance of Shout by the Isley Brothers, host Ryan Seacrest orchestrated a surprise moment by bringing Jamal's two youngest daughters, Lyric and Harmony, onto the stage. The reunion, which came after the children reportedly hadn't seen their father in over a month, triggered an outpouring of emotion from both the audience and the judges. Viewers at home witnessed a tearful embrace that transcended the musical context, offering a humanizing glimpse into the sacrifices Jamal was making to chase his dream. However, what was intended as a heartfelt family moment quickly became a point of contention. Critics, including some media outlets and Idol fans, questioned the timing of the reunion, which occurred while voting information was simultaneously displayed on screen. They suggested that the moment, while genuine, might have influenced viewer sentiment and potentially skewed voting in Jamal's favor. The line between authenticity and strategy suddenly blurred, igniting debate about fairness, emotional manipulation, and the evolving nature of talent competition storytelling. For Jamal, however, the moment was deeply personal. He had never used his children for sympathy, but rather as motivation, and the reunion was less about optics than it was about reconnection. Still, the impact of that single televised embrace would ripple far beyond the episode, further entwining his artistry with his identity as a devoted father. The emotional reunion episode quickly escalated into a minor media firestorm, with headlines questioning whether American Idol had inadvertently crossed a line by intertwining family sentiment with active voting. Among the most vocal critiques was a feature from Sportska, which argued that the timing of the daughter's surprise appearance could have unfairly boosted Jamal's standing, manipulating the audience's emotional response in a way that disadvantaged other contestants. The article stopped short of accusing Idol of orchestrated favoritism but raised the ethical question of whether emotional storytelling should be allowed to impact competitive outcomes. Fans were divided. Some rallied behind Jamal, arguing that his sincerity and the authenticity of his journey warranted recognition, while others echoed the sentiment that talent should stand independently of sentiment. Despite the controversy, there was no official reprimand or investigation from the show's producers, and Jamal continued his journey unfazed. His subsequent performances reinforced his place in the competition, suggesting that while the emotional moment may have tugged on heartstrings, it was his vocal prowess and consistency that ultimately kept him in the running. For many, the episode served as a reminder of the fine line reality TV often walks between entertainment and ethics, and how quickly a genuine moment can become a flashpoint for broader debates. For Jamal, the criticism barely registered publicly. Instead, he doubled down on his mission, using the attention not for defense but to highlight the sacrifices that dreamers like him make in the pursuit of something greater. As of mid-May 2025, Jamal Roberts remains an active and formidable presence in the final stages of American Idol Season 23, solidifying his status not just as a performer, but as a symbol of resilience for viewers across the country. With each performance, he reaffirms the power of lived experience as a foundation for art, turning his personal struggles into universally resonant messages. But Jamal's aspirations reach far beyond winning a televised singing competition. He has openly expressed a mission to reshape the public image of his hometown, Meridian, Mississippi. In interviews and social posts, he emphasizes the need to uplift the city's reputation, steering the narrative away from crime and poverty and toward talent, perseverance, and potential. His story is no longer just his own, it is interwoven with the aspirations of a community long overlooked. Jamal envisions using his growing platform to mentor youth, invest in community programs, and perhaps even expand his impact nationally through music and education. Unlike many Idol contestants whose arcs conclude with the final episode, Jamal seems poised to leverage his visibility into lasting influence. The combination of his teaching background, musical gift, and genuine leadership qualities positions him as a multi-dimensional figure capable of inspiring change across industries. For fans, watching Jamal succeed is not just entertainment, it's a window into what it looks like when purpose, talent, and opportunity finally align. Behind Jamal Roberts' rise to fame lies a deeper legacy being formed, one that merges artistry with activism and personal success with collective empowerment. While some artists focus solely on their careers, Jamal has made it clear that his journey is in service of something greater than himself. In his words, success means little if it isn't used to lift others along the way. His commitment to his daughters, his students, and his hometown remains the driving force behind every note he sings and every stage he steps on. Even as national media spotlight his achievements, he consistently redirects attention to the community that made him. From using his social platforms to promote causes, to quietly mentoring young talents in Meridian, Jamal is laying the groundwork for a broader mission that blends performance with purpose. His life serves as a counter-narrative to the idea that fame must come at the cost of authenticity, and that visibility can't coexist with vulnerability. As he continues to captivate audiences, Jamal is building a new blueprint for what success looks like, one where dreams are not only pursued but shared, where platforms are not just climbed but used to amplify others, and where the spotlight is big enough to illuminate a path for those still walking in darkness. Jamal Roberts' transformation from a church performer and PE teacher to a top 3 finalist on American Idol Season 23 stands as one of the most compelling underdog stories in the show's history. Yet, even as the competition nears its finale, it is evident that Jamal's narrative transcends the confines of a television format. His journey reflects the modern American dream in its rawest form, one forged in hardship, driven by integrity and illuminated by faith and family. He has demonstrated that artistry is not defined by glittering stages or viral fame, but by the ability to move people, to tell stories that matter, and to show up fully even when the odds are against you. Whether Jamal ultimately claims the Idol title or not, his story is already written in the hearts of those who see themselves in his struggles and victories. For his daughters, he is not just a finalist, he is a hero. For Meridian, he is not just a singer, he is a legacy in motion. And for the broader public, Jamal Roberts is a reminder that no matter where you start, your voice can still carry, still inspire, and still change the world. His legacy will not end with the final episode, it will begin anew with every life he continues to touch.